Hello everyone, Suey here. Today I want to talk about a thing I saw on Twitter a while back. It's tweeted by somebody named Mark Manson. I don't know if you guys know who this person is, but I just saw his tweet because somebody retweeted it or reposted, I guess we're supposed to say now. Yeah, but I think he's an author of some kind. I don't know. But anyway, he posts things where he gives people hints and helps and ideas about all different things in life, I guess. And this time he talked about 5 ways to become a better reader. That's how he titled it. I agreed with some of these and I had some issues with some of these. So I thought it'd be fun to share those with you and discuss a little bit. My first issue is he uses the word better. And I think what he might actually mean is faster. And so I don't know if faster is actually better. What do you guys think about this? If our goal is to read a ton of books, then these suggestions will probably help. But if our goal is to enjoy the journey and become immersed in the books, then I am not so sure about these things. Let me know what you think as we go through them. He starts the thread off by saying, most people suck at reading. Here are my 5 rules to help you become a better reader. So rule number 1, cut the inner monologue. When you read, there's a voice inside your head talking out each and every word. The problem with this, it's slow and you don't need it. Practice reading without it. Don't make every sound of every word in your head. So that you read that and you're like, wait, what? But yeah, when we read, I bet you most of us, I do it. I thought about it after I saw this because I haven't really thought about it that much, really. When we read in our head, we're saying all the words, right? It's like we're our own little audio narrator inside of our head. I guess that's slow. I feel like people who learn how to speed read overcome this and they can just look at the sentences, at the paragraphs and just see it and know what it's saying without reading through it. If you take into consideration his second point, I don't know how these two go together. The second one he says is read with your finger. You're going to feel like a doofus sitting there moving your finger back and forth, but it helps keep your eyes focused. This alone will help you read 10 to 20% faster. See, he keeps using the faster word. So the whole thing is faster better? I don't know. I don't think so. In my opinion, I don't think so. But so now we're not saying the words in our head, but we're going like this with our finger back and forth, which I think would be, it's more than a feeling like a doofus. I think it just feels like it would drive you bananas. I don't know. Have you guys done this? I'm curious. Has anybody done this? Does anybody use their finger to read? Both these points, not saying the words in your head and using your finger, might help you go faster, but will you enjoy the book as much? I don't know. So I complain all the time about not reading as much as a lot of people do here on BookTube. And I'm curious if some of you people who read a lot, are you speed readers? Can you just absorb the words and know what it's saying without having to say the words in your head? Or do you do this finger thing? Does that help you? I don't know. I keep saying that. I'm wondering if it helps you or not. For me, even though I complain about not reading so much, I feel like my goal, if I want to read better, then better, to me, the definition of that is to become immersed in the book and not try to fly through it. Does that make sense? Okay, what does he say for the third thing? The third one I might actually agree with if I remember right. Rule number 3, stop reading stuff you don't like. I've never understood why people think that if you don't finish every book you start, you're an idiot and a failure. There are too many good books in the world to waste your time on bad ones. If a book isn't grabbing you, move on. This one, yes, for sure. I find it interesting. People make fun of me for my ratings. That'll probably be a subject for another video someday. I don't have hardly any 1 or 2 star ratings if you look at my Goodreads. A few 2 stars maybe. If something would be a 1 star, I feel like I would not finish it. Because that's what he's talking about. Don't read a book you don't like. And for me, most books, if I don't really love them, I like them enough to keep reading. For the most part. Yeah. I have DNF'd a handful of books, and I don't feel bad when I do. Sometimes I do. Maybe if it's a book club book, and I don't finish it, then I feel a little sad. Or if it's a book that maybe a ton of people have raved about and I don't finish it, maybe I feel a little bit sad. For the most part, it's not a big deal if I don't finish a book. I think most of us are probably okay with not finishing a book. Let me know how you feel about this one. Does it drive you crazy to not finish it? Do you force yourself to finish a book you don't like? Do you have 1-star ratings? Because that means, to me, if you have a lot of 1-star ratings, then you have forced yourself to finish a book that you don't like, right? Or maybe it means that you liked it and then the ending was terrible and then you hated it or something. I don't know. But yeah, let's not read books we don't like, right? Okay. Number 4 on his list, schedule your reading time. Everybody I talk to who wants to read more, I'll say, I'm so busy, I don't have enough time. Have we heard this 1,000 times? It's no excuse. Reading is the easiest and most transportable activity ever. If you have time, you're just wasting it on, and then he goes, Twitter. I waste my time closing my eyes and falling asleep a lot, even though I think sleep is a good thing for us too. But there's a lot of times where I think I'm going to sit down and read, and then I'm just so tired, and bam, pretty soon I'm having a little tiny nap. I'm resting my eyes. Yeah. I hate it when people say, I do not have time for something, especially if you're talking to them about the thing that you like to do. It could be reading, it could be other stuff. It could be anything. And people say, oh, that would be really great if I had time for it. And then it's like they're looking at you and saying, either they're saying, you don't have a life, so that's why you have time, because you don't have a life. I have a life, so I don't have time. I always become defensive, and it makes me crazy because in reality, if they don't have time to do something fun for them, then they're the ones that has the problem, right? Not me. I've thought about this a lot, actually. So when people say they don't have time, I always reword it in my head that they really mean they aren't making time. They aren't making time to do the thing that they kind of want to do, because we all have the same amount of time. Even people that are crazy busy can figure out how to do their fun things in the middle of their crazy busy stuff. I've seen it many, many times. I'm not talking about books necessarily, but just whatever it is that you love to do. People can fit it in. There's a way to do it. He's saying to schedule, and he has a little graphic that says, 20 minutes versus 5 minutes for like a student who, and how they end up doing in life or whatever. So I'm curious now, do we schedule our reading time? I do not schedule it. I just fit it in whenever there's a moment, or when I'm tired and I need a break. This is why I fall asleep half the time. Or I'm doing stuff and I'm like, okay, I'm going to read for a minute now. And because I'm just, I'm just want to sit for a minute and take a break. And so I'm going to read. Or like I've said before, there's always reading before bed, because that's just how you wind down, right? And then if you get in the middle of a book and you have a nice quiet Sunday afternoon or something, then maybe you read for a few hours in the afternoon. I think that would drive me crazy if I actually scheduled it and then I couldn't do it during the time I scheduled it because something else came up, and then I would get angry. So I'm wondering if you guys do, if you have like a specific time that you're going to read. I guess I could say the bedtime routine is a scheduled thing, but who knows when that's going to happen. It could be at 9 o'clock at night and then I read for a couple hours till 11, or it could be at 11 o'clock at night and I read for a half hour. Okay, his 5th rule, read more than 1 book at a time. People weirdly think that reading 2 books at the same time is twice as mentally challenging as reading 1. It's not. Read a few books at a time. So if you get a bit bored of one, you can switch to another and then switch back later. I'm pretty sure that most of us here on booktube read more than 1 book at a time. And like I said before in my tag, what was the name of that tag? How I Read tag or something. I have often started many or several books at a time, but then I end up focusing on one and then finishing it. And then I kind of drop the others for a little bit. Or you can have books that are very different from each other going at the same time. That helps, or a nonfiction versus a fiction going at the same time, or books that are a completely different genre or something. I agree with him there. I do think that when I do read more than 1 book at a time, I manage to get them done, and my book total for the month or whatever is bigger than if I wouldn't. So those are his 5 things. What do you guys think? Do these things make us a better reader? Do they maybe just make us a faster reader? Are all these things stuff you guys do already? Or are you like me where you're like, yeah, that one's cool, but that one's crazy? That's how I felt pretty much. And like I said before, what does better mean to you? Is better faster? Is better more? Or is better mean that you savor the words and you get immersed into the story and then you love it so much you gotta talk about it on BookTube? I've told you what I feel like, so let me know what you guys think, and if you agree or disagree with this dude, and maybe what you'd put on your list. What would you put on your list to make people be a better reader? I'm gonna have to ponder that one. I do agree with the finding time. Just find time for it, for sure. And find the books that you love, that's for sure too. I think being a better reader, participating in these community things like BookTube and all the events and the readathons and the bingos and the buddy reads and book club and all those things. And going to the library and participating in the programs the library or the bookstores are having, all those things would make you a better reader. Okay, I can't wait to hear what you guys think about this. And in the meantime, happy reading. Bye.